Hi Libra, welcome to your April 2018 love reading. It's Raina here. And so what I'm going to be doing in this reading is using my Morgan Greer deck for the basic spread, and then these Wisdom of the Oracle cards by Colette Baron Reed. I like the back of these. And as a matter of fact, I'm just going to cut the cards right now and pick one. Observer. I think they might have, it was a reversed card, and interestingly enough, some of the cards are upright, so if it is, I think you do read them as reversed, so I'll just put that to the side. If not, you read them just upright. I have a booklet that I have to refer to for that particular card. So here is the general spread. And I guess I'll do this so that people will see me pulling the cards. Okay, and I'm going to pick this one. Okay. And this time I'm not going to pick an additional card. Sometimes I have been tempted to pick one because I think, oh, this is such a negative card, but it really isn't. It's really about healing, you know, or getting over something. So I'm not going to pick an additional card. I will say, you know, just to kind of, sorry about this, I'm trying to make this stay upright. I will say that this type of reading, just to kind of clarify, is for people who are experiencing perhaps a little bit of turbulence in their relationship. Sometimes, not very often, but I'll get somebody that's saying, this doesn't have anything to do with me because my relationship is great. And I wrote to them and say, well, why are you watching then? Because why would you watch something if you already know that your relationship is perfect? So, needless to say, I don't necessarily believe people when they say that. But that's what it's meant for. So, if you are watching and you have a great relationship, then this isn't really for you. This is for those people that are struggling in their relationships. Okay, so or you know, sometimes it can be people who are single, but it always seems to be with people who have relationships. The heart of the matter is the Seven of Swords, and there's no real delicate way of putting this, but it's all about deception, and somebody may be kind of skipping out on you, cheating. Sometimes it's grifting, which is, you know, using or kind of being a con artist. So that may be on your mind. It's interesting that I have these swords here because swords connect to you and other air signs like you, Aquarius and Gemini. So is this person another air sign? That's always a possibility. I'm just going to keep going and seeing what else I can find. What crosses you is the Queen of Swords. So in the upright position, the Queen of Swords is about being able to put your emotions on the back burner in order to in some cases make a decision that you have to make. But unlike the King of Swords, the Queen of Swords does involve your intuition. And it does involve, it does involve your, I would say your emotions to some degree and what you want. Like for instance, the King of Swords can be connected to judges, right? And judges are supposed to be impartial. And so they're not taking their conditioning into it. They have to be completely looking at the facts and very dry about it. with the Queen of Swords, it's not necessarily like that. So if you're making a decision, you are going to take your feelings into account. They're just not going to be front and center, where you can't make a decision because you're too emotional. That's basically what I'm getting at. And so it's like a healthy balance between that intuition, and that's a yin kind of a thing, which is coming from internal sources. With the swords, which is intellectual, it's the way that we interact with the world, it's more rational and things like that. So, but this is not something that is working out for you right now. You can't do it. Why not? Because your emotions are probably too riled up. And for instance, if you suspect that your partner is cheating on you, that can throw you into a tizzy where you're like, your mind is rioting and you can't even think straight. In some cases with Libra, if you have personal planets in Scorpio, your mind can play tricks on you. So you may think that this person is cheating on you because you're projecting your own lack of self-love, your own paranoia onto this person. Mercury in Scorpio, which is, you know, very possible if your sun is in Libra. Venus and or Mars in Scorpio. You may have, and you could have the moon or the rising sign in Scorpio, just by nature of being alive. You don't have to be a Libra, but I'm talking about these personal planets. And that can play tricks on your mind, and the person may not be, but you think that they are. So that Seven of Swords may not be something, but I do believe that based on the last card, it is somebody who is cheating, and actually the Queen of Swords is you maybe having a hard time accepting that. The root cause of this, the Seven of Pentacles, this could be the actual person who you are with. So this is a card, the Pentacles are connected to Earth energy. For you, it might be Capricorn is the most likely one, but also the Earth signs are Virgo and Taurus. And it could be saying that, if forgetting about the actual sign of the other person, this could be a card where you may have either two things. Either you have been waiting too long, trying to hope that this other person will get their stuff together. And maybe I feel like with the Seven of Swords, this person is doing this behind your back. But with the Seven of Pentacles, you may have known, it may be kind of blatantly obvious, and you've been kind of patiently waiting to see if they're going to change. And maybe you waited too long, and this is the problem, is that you're trying to cut them some slack and give them time, and they won't do it. And, you know, they're just trying to pretend that they're faithful, and they're not. Maybe you believed them, believed their lies, and finally, and it worked against you, because really what the Seven of Pentacles is all about is about seeing if something is profitable. Is, if you look, it's, I don't know, what word can I use? Is viable, is profitable. You see those leaves, that's supposed to mean that the thing is, I'm not looking for the word abundant, but it has growth potential, okay? And it's interesting that these are both the number 7. The number 7 is a number of the mystic, okay? So that is why the Seven of Swords is about somebody who's sneaking around, because it's kind of being private, secretive, you know, keeping to themselves. One thing that I will say too, if you are single and you haven't clicked off this video, is that the Seven of Swords can be you being very independent, going your own way. And that may work against you because perhaps you're doing so in a self-protective measure, and you don't, maybe you had somebody in your past that hurt you, and so now you're kind of like keeping to yourself, and yet you may want a relationship and you're afraid to go after it. But for those people who are in a relationship, you may have been a little bit too patient, and likewise, it could also point to the fact that maybe you did not give it enough time. And so you got involved with somebody before knowing their true nature. And now you're finding out. The spiritual message is represented by the King of Pentacles. This, for some people, because kings can relate to fathers, this may be talking about your father and how he impacted your perception of yourself. And I'm speaking specifically to women who are attracted to men, because, we all know that psychotherapy thing of the transferring the relationship of the father to the partner. Now, because this is the King of Pentacles, there may have been, the father may have been very concerned with material matters, and we see here again. So it can be a situation of materialism taking, overshadowing, really appreciating a person's character, because the King of Pentacles is somebody who is very prominent and successful. I mean, to the, the top of the heap. So they have this sense of, this aura of power, of prestige. And, one thing that I should say is it could be like a boss too. So maybe the thing is, oh wow, I didn't think about this. Maybe this was a situation of you cheating with your boss, and he is married and this is his wife. And, I would say, and you're patiently waiting for him to leave his wife. And I would say in that situation, because it's a king, not just because it's your boss, but he may not be leaving because he has children. And that's important to him overall, especially if he is a Capricorn. Boy, this would be really funny. I mean, I don't know, funny is the word, but cool maybe if this really applied to any of you. I suppose with the law of averages, I could say just about anything, and there would be somebody who says, oh my God, this is my situation. So I'm not patting myself on the back by saying this. I'm just kind of curious, because it is pretty detailed. And, but anyway, in that, just using that as an example, I would say that what goes around comes around. So if you're cheating with somebody who's married, first of all, you're cheating with somebody who is obviously not trustworthy. Because if he's cheating with his wife, or the mother of his child, he could easily do the same to you. But everyone likes to think they're special. Sometimes when the person is really smart, they will tell you, oh, you're different. My wife, she's just like, I'm just so unhappy with her. She's not, we're not compatible, but we have a child. And so, of course, we're just together temporarily. I'm going to leave her in 3 months and all of that. So that was another thing that could mean as well. But the thing is, this is a spiritual message or spiritual advice, maybe in some cases. And it could be telling you that there is an earth sign male who is really the person for you. Maybe you are involved with a swords kind of a person. And usually I would say that the swords person is the better bet. But this person would be very stable, would be established, and be more mature. So the King of Pentacles could be a good guy too. It doesn't have to be a bad guy. And when I say guy, you know, usually the suit cards are, to me, actual gender specific, but you know, they say sometimes in a general reading that you don't read that. You're more universal. So what is coming in is represented by the Page of Cups, and this is a card connected to Pisces, so maybe there's some timing issues with Pisces. I'm recording this during Pisces, so if you're watching in March, that might be saying that this is when all of this goes down. But either way, I feel like you are seeing maybe that you were naive, that you were played. I have a feeling. Libra is, because it's an air sign, is considered an intellectual sign. So intellectual signs, or intellectual people, I should say, are people who really love the life of the mind. And they tend to be great readers, and they like to pursue, you know, for Libra, cultural kinds of entertainment or stimulation too. And yet, you can be gullible and be intelligent at the same time. Sometimes I think intelligent people are capable. They have they have a blind spot, because if somebody appeals to a certain thing, an idea that you have, then you may just be very susceptible to it. So you may say, wow, something may come about. Oh, you know what? Okay, here you go. You're going to have a blue moon on March 31st. If you're watching in April, obviously it's already happened. But that may be a time of your aha moment where you go, wow, I have been such a fool. And the nice thing is the very next day, it's April Fool's Day, so you can celebrate it. But actually, when the full moon is in your sign, that blue moon, that means that the sun is in the opposite sign, opposite house, which is Aries, and the opposite house is the 7th house of relationships. So that kind of like shining a light on what is happening, and kind of concentrating the energy, putting the heat on that relationship. But it's going to be more of a, you know, if the full moon had fallen in the 7th house, that would have been a discovery of that other person. This is more of an aha moment about yourself. And I kind of like that better, because it really isn't about the other person. It's about how you interact within a relationship, and maybe some of the patterns that have always been regarding you in relationships, and how, you know, how can you change those things? And then we have the outcome, which is the 10 of Swords, which I'm not going to pull an additional card for. And this is a card, the number 10 is a card of any kind of completion of a cycle. Obviously, this person feels stabbed in the back, figuratively. So really owning the feeling of betrayal, not being in denial. Like, I think the Queen of Swords is kind of being in denial in a way. And really being able to move on because of it. This is like hitting bottom. But I think that it's funny, because the last day of the month is when this full moon in your sign is, of March. And so it's really about seeing it for what it is. And to me, that's what hitting bottom is. It doesn't mean that it's something where you have to suffer intensely. Because, as I said before, the heart of the matter is the 7 of Swords. And I feel like sometimes the heart of the matter is something that you're tossing about in your mind. So it's not unknown to you. It's not something that you're totally unaware of, and that it'll surprise you and shock you or whatever. But that maybe you have kind of shoved out of your mind, that you don't want to deal with, and you're forced to, and it's good. And it's like, you know, then you can move on. So this particular reading, it's apropos that it ended on a 10, because it's almost like kind of clearing the decks type of a reading. And now I'm going to read from the booklet for this other card, Observer, and it's number 49, and I'm going to see if it, I didn't hold it up enough. Oh, it's a dog. I thought it was like a thing, and there's the moon. Okay, so we'll see if there is a reversed position. I think they call them protection messages. So I'm going to read that in a reversed position. Ever think sometimes your life options are suction cupped to your face and you can't see beyond yourself? There's a big world out there, a multitude of potential realities that you're unable to perceive at present. So you're a little stuck. It's time to get advice from someone you trust, someone who has a better perspective on your circumstances. Other points of view are needed now before you move forward. Take heart. A beautiful vista is waiting for you to drink it in. You just need a little help widening your scope beyond your small quote-unquote self. And so, never to miss an opportunity. If you would like some help on your relationship, Libra, I won't say it's a shameless plug, but I do have love readings, personal love readings, so please follow my link below in this video in the information section if you're interested. And otherwise, I think that you know what? I like the fact that the full moon on March 31st is happening on the last day, because it is it's like closure, you know what I mean? And a closure not just in terms of some relationship, but in terms for yourself as a whole. Maybe this is a time for you to shed an old skin and move forward in your life in a more positive way. Relationships are very meaningful to Librans, and yet when a Libra person is not feeling a sense of who they really are, there can be a lot of turmoil. So the more you can get to know yourself, and I would add in a spiritual sense, not just in the worldly sense of accomplishment, which is kind of temporary and it's subject to change, it's subject to other factors involved, but something that is like steady within yourself, then you won't need that person to kind of fulfill a sense of your own identity. They will be I was going to say a partner in crime, but a partner in growth and spiritual growth and every type of growth, and also an asset to you, not somebody who drains your energy or creates this sense of being in this tizzy where you can't think straight, but somebody who will actually, add peace to your life. Okay, Libra, I wish you all the best. Take care. Bye.